It's T'Challa time, issue number 3, our monthly ritual where we go and we deep dive. I have invited a panel of a couple. Everyone, put it up. Everyone, throw your comic books up, okay? Original cover A. Here we go. Paul's like, I read digital.
No, no. Paul's like, I got
Paul look like
stacks of comics here that I can't
he
go
busy
through to
bagging
go
and
find.
boarding.
I got the same thing too. All
I
my
love
whole
to see that. I love to
all
see
here.
that. Love to see that.
So when this issue was solicited, that dude in the cover, we didn't really know nothing about. Now we can safely say that's Baba Nikisu, right? That's who that was?
Baba Nikisu, yes.
Yeah.
Baba Nikisu is his name. Inside the home of, what's her name? Natima?
Natima.
I'm going with Natima too. I like Natima. Natima, the real name of the character Besa. I'm just gonna go with Natima because unlike Besa, there's not two vowels right next to each other. That makes words difficult to pronounce. So my girl Natima is chatting it up with T'Challa, and he was the guy who we want him to be. The inspector, the guy who knows everything. He knows your name. He also knows what you've been doing, and he figured out that you've got this vibranium that is architected in the old style, but it's right. Like that was so genius, and that was so very T'Challa. When he's off panels, he's actually doing some detective work, and they just gave it to us right here. Like, oh, I know who you are. So that was an incredible showing.
I love that line also because it reminds the audience that T'Challa's mad smart.
Yeah,
he's a scientist.
Exactly.
He could look at vibranium and tell you where it comes from and how it's manufactured. Something that the last writer, I will never say his name again, Lord Voldemort, was not capable of doing.
This version of T'Challa is the way T'Challa is supposed to be written.
Exactly.
Confident
and the
prepared.
way the way that people respond to him is how he's supposed to be responded to, because he was the monarch of Wakanda for in their time at least 15 years at a bare minimum. People revere their monarchs. No matter what they say, he is their celebrity. He is their king. During the previous run, in issue 1 or 2, you had one of his former subjects saying F you to T'Challa to his face. And I don't care what you say, nobody would really do that. There would be nobody who would go to King Charles, no matter what they think about him, and say F you, King Charles. You know what I'm saying? And then when you know the sacrifices that T'Challa made, not only for the world, but specifically for his country, no matter what issues you may have with him, none of his subjects would sit up here and say F you. But the reverence that the characters in this book are showing to him is how it's supposed to be, and I really enjoy that aspect.
They say Baba Nikisu is not just a crime boss, he's a daimyo. That comes to mind. And that's a Japanese word. Are we okay with Wakandans using Japanese lingo? I'm okay with that one. I'll let that one slip. I just don't like
they're super smart.
Exactly.
Oh,
so they understand.
That's what she was doing.
They're culturally
knowledge. They were using different. Okay, see there.
They're culturally aware about everybody.
Nothing but studying and knowledge and learning.
I mean, think about Black Panther 1. They're actually speaking Korean, so they are intelligent, educated people.
We're the only ones by and large that don't want to be bilingual or convert to the metric system.
So that's not the influence of a different foreign land changing the way Wakandans speak. That wasn't that.
No, that's being worldly and recognizing that you should learn about other cultures and language beyond your own borders.
Okay, exactly. but then how about this issue here where she says, the pot calling the kettle black? Instead it says the Panther calling the kettle black. Now that's an English-speaking person saying that she sort of Wakandanized it, and that I'm not okay with.
I'll let it slide. In the vernacular, it's kind of common to know basically what you're saying. You're being hypocritical here. So I let that slide. I would take an issue with that.
It's not like the last run where he literally used westernized terms, colloquialisms, consistently throughout the entire book.
You're right. Hey, Steve Staranka's in the building, as well as Zang Beto. Mike from Rogue Comics and Spoiler Kings are all watching here on the live stream here. The numbers.
I also didn't have a problem, I gotta say, Chill, with it, because it's Wakanda knows about the world. The world doesn't know about Wakanda, so they know everything culturally about every other culture. Because know thy enemy, so they know about everywhere else. So they've been out in the world. They just been having under guise. You know, so they know about them. Just not everyone knows about what's going on in Wakanda. And
They're
I think
better
that
than
was-
them. They shouldn't want to speak like them. Know thy enemies. Since when do we act like our enemies?
Right.
I love it, Chillmonger. You're beneath
Is
me.
everybody, does Wakanda see everybody as an enemy so much as they see them as, I need to know who you are, period. Whether you're friend or foe, I need to know. Because when you look at T'Challa all the time, he's already weighed out what people's strengths and weaknesses are. So when he comes at them, okay, if you come at me like this, I'm gonna be cool. But if you come at me like this, I done already looked you up and down and sideways, and I know exactly what I'm gonna do if you do.
That's Machiavellian of him. You know, he's got a little belly. He's got
a European thing.
It is, but understand, T'Challa studied abroad.
Yes, he did. He went.
Wakandan.
Like he went to universities and colleges everywhere. He went to Cambridge. He went to all this place. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, he knows these things.
As they say here, where she doesn't even know he's T'Challa yet, but he's like, yeah, I went to many colleges and universities. That was cool there. So yeah, his, like Paul was saying when we began this, the intelligence has been reminded to the reader, and they're not shying away from that. The Baba Nikusu, his father was murdered by the Elonga family. Those were the villainous family that we were introduced to issue 1. We saw them issue 2. Now here's the second half. So that sets the table there. I'm good on families and I'm good on the lore. I got it. Baba Nikusu at the age of 19 became the daimyo, the crime lord. I understand. Let's now play with these pieces and let's not introduce more families and stuff to muck things up. But so far, the table has been set and I'm all good with that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't remember that the family that killed his dad was introduced in books 1 and 2. I completely forgot that.
I had to read. I reread it.
Yeah.
Nice. You reread them? Is there anything you picked up extra from the rereadings?
No, I said I need to reread.
I got you. But to Brian, who did reread them, what did you pick up?
I reread them, and more. I felt the writer more. The more I started reading, and then reading the little side things, and reading what the writer's saying about how to develop the character and how she didn't want to just erase everything, but she wants to make it the right way. So the more I read that, the more I started to understand why we were going down the path that we were going.
One thing that I'll say before we move on to the crime family, something that was 1 or 2 panels, was basically how the Nikita, what's her name? The young lady?
Besa?
Natima,
thank you. The way Natima didn't realize that was the real T'Challa. She thought that he was just some dude in a costume. Then she threw the vibranium arrowhead, for lack of a better term, at him, and he caught it without even looking. That shows his skills and abilities, unlike what we had seen during the previous run, because I will never forget, in the previous run, T'Challa was knocked on his tail by a dude on a buffalo. That completely destroyed the mythos of him being this big, bad physical character. That little scene right there, catching it without even looking, that shows you just how bad-tailed he is.
And moreover, this is where I give my hats off to Dr. Eve Ewing and her writing on this. That was actually like 2, maybe 3 panels, right? That's where your storytelling is at best in this medium of comic books, where you're telling a story and you're conveying a message with the minimal amount of information, with just the art and a couple of words. Because you have one panel where Besa throws the knife at T'Challa, another panel where he simply catches it and he says, whatever he says.
No, she's the one who said, "Oh, you are.
You are, right?" So the third panel, she's like, "So you really are T'Challa." That's only 3 panels, and that conveys so much story in just 3 panels. A lot of artist writer teams don't get that. Sometimes the writer tries to do a lot of exposition to make those points. Sometimes the artist can't render that. They did that in 3 panels. That shows that Eve Ewing and Chris Allen are on the same page in terms of storytelling, and that's a cool thing.
Okay.
And even before that, she came at him and put it to his throat, like, and he didn't flinch. It was just like, how like. And I think Theo had said something about it on one of his videos. Like when you do like that to somebody to try to make them flinch or jump or something like that. I think that's what she was doing with that knife. And when he didn't move, she was like, ain't you gonna try to disarm me? You know, it changed from okay, I'm threatening to okay, he's not acting the way I thought he was gonna act when I did that. So
yeah, and I love how when she attacks him and he's like, I find you interesting. You know,
he's
like, you intrigue me as an adversary. He's like, finally, somebody who's worthy as an adversary. I find you intriguing. He conveys so much swag with that, you know, and swag is what we were missing for the last year and a half on T'Challa. The boy had no swag.
Make a rule. There's no mentioning of the prior volume, okay? Volume 8 doesn't exist. We got to make that rule. We keep doing it. We did it for every other time we've sat down here to chat about it. We can't do it.
Yeah, you're right.
It's better. It's already better.
It is.
3 issues.
Okay, hold on. Paul
it's like Stockholm syndrome. I've been abused so long last year and a half.
Chris Allen, Ewing.
Yes.
Whose is this? We had 3 issues to read. Is this the Chris Allen run or is this the Dr. Ewing run?
It's a symbiosis. It's both of them, you know. And there's another artist in this as well, and I can tell when that changed. Somebody by the name of Matt Chater, and you can tell the writing style changed halfway through. Now, I've on the Black Comic Lords, I've mentioned in the past how I hardly ever used to pay attention to the creators behind it, but I'm doing better now, trying to figure out who's doing what. And I didn't do that when I read it through the first time, but I noticed how at a certain part, I'm like, this art style seems to have changed. But then I go back and I look and I'm like, okay, yeah, there are 2 artists or 2 illustrators on this, but they work well together. I really enjoy this art style. I'm guessing that most of it is Chris Allen. And I think he and Dr. Ewing are working well together, being able to convey a story like Paul just said, with her words and his art. It's doing a phenomenal job for me.
Okay. I gotta say, the respect, you can feel the respect because,
you're going to do another kumbaya answer, Brian? I thought you were going to tell me it's one or the other.
I would say Dr. I feel like it's her words. It's definitely her story, but she is so blown away. Like, oh, you're going to do my illustrations for this? That's in each panel conveys so much information. That it's not just her words. So it has to be both of them. Each one, because on each page, you might have 30 words, but you have 12 panels that are really conveying and moving you through what the story is really going on. So
I'll credit the writer for that because the poses that are supposed to be there are decided from the writer, right? Like during the email exchange of this is what's on page 1, page 2, that's the writer. It says some days later. How do we feel about this time skip? I love it because T'Challa does happen to have different appearances, and like he's going to be in Wolverine, he's going to be in the Avengers, he's all over the place. So let me know that some days pass, so I can always tell myself that while this story is ongoing, there was some days where he did some Avengering, and now he's back in Black Panther.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's just me.
Like you said, off paneling. There's some off panel stuff going on, and then like you mentioned, Jed McKay's run on Avengers. I don't know if anybody reads that, but he's also begun wearing the Bernine T'Chaka outfit in his Avengers adventures. So I'm kind of curious if he was supposed to be exiled and
he talked about
what? I'm not going to get into that yet. I'm not going to get that. Maybe they'll explain it here at an issue or 2. So I'm gonna lay back. I'm like, they got a reason. Let's see if they explain.
But then they talk about that. He's talking about that in the first issue. He was talking about like, I still do go with the Avengers. It makes me feel good, but I need to come home. He comes home, but he's able to go off panel to these other things because he talked about in the first issue. I am going to still be dealing with the Avengers. I'm still dealing with all these other people.
But T'Challa,
he tired of changing uniforms. He just like, I ain't changing no more.
My initial impression was that he was switching uniforms so that people in Wakanda would not know that he's being Black Panther, even if he got seen. I understand what D-Real's talking about, but I am reading Avengers as well, and in the latest issue, he did wear the same outfit that you see in his own Black Panther run. So we just don't know the time frame. We don't know the time frames for when all this is going on. Is the thing. We don't know if by the time we get to that Avengers run, has he already been outed in Black Panther as in his own run as really being Black Panther? We don't know that yet.
It makes me worry that he's.
That's why I say I'm gonna hang back because I know they're gonna explain.
Yeah.
but he isn't going to be the king for a long time. I wish that issue 6, the end of this trade, he's back to being the king again. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. And so the clothing he wears in Avengers is resembling that. And it's
he's still king. He's just not ruler. He'll always be king. He just won't be ruler. Once you're a king, you're a king. Even if you're exiled, you're still a king. You're just not a ruler.
That's not true.
That's absolutely true.
In most monarchies, once you give up the throne, you are no longer the king.
But they still refer to you as exiled king, whatever.
That's when you look, for example, when you look at the guy.
So all that talk about the colonizer and their monarchy and stuff, that's getting completely edited out of the completed version of this video. We're going straight into the next page. So over at FISA's, they get crashed, okay? And before that, actually, they're talking about this Brennan T'Chaka wedding that's coming up. And T'Challa, I don't know, I think he was a little bit sour that this can't be the biggest wedding. What about the one with Aurora? That T'Challa guy.
Yeah, that was a nice.
I like
I had to reread that because I forgot that was him undercover.
Yeah,
that was his mask or whatever. I'm like, wait a minute.
EBs or whatever.
They're talking about himself. That was funny.
Yeah.
Was that him?
I heard that was quite.
No, but that was a cool point because it also gave you. And Eve Ewing is a brilliant writer. It also gave you an opportunity because she's showing the difference between what life is like in Brennan T'Chaka versus the Golden City. People in Brennan T'Chaka like, yeah, that was for. I'm sure that wedding was great, but we didn't really get to see it because that was more for the elites.
Quote.
So in essence, she's establishing a caste system in Wakanda that exists.
Quote, all the way in Burning Zana, who knows? I'm sure it was very fancy, but this is a Beatty wedding of Beatty royalty.
Yeah.
Got their own culture.
It's kind of like comparing New York to, say, Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I'm from. You know what I'm saying?
Well, more like New York and Chicago, not Tulsa.
So
Nobody knows anything about Tulsa.
That happened over there in New York, I'm sure that was great, and TMZ was there or whatever. But over here where we are, we don't pay attention to that.
That's world building right there, baby. It's not all about the capital city. We've got our own subcultures inside, and that makes Wakanda a more greater place.
Right, right. So mad props to her for doing that world building.
And D-Real should definitely read Ironheart, right?
He's never read Ironheart? You never read Ironheart?
I have seen Ironheart comics, but I never got into them because
I don't read Ironheart either.
The thing that you will learn with Eve Ewing in her writing, because I own and have read all of the stuff that she's done. She is a true comic head. Let me repeat. She is a true comic head. One of the things that I've learned in these spaces is oftentimes as fanboys don't give women that are in this genre their props, and we tend to challenge them and challenge their comic book knowledge and what have you. Go ahead and challenge Eve Ewing. She knows what she's talking about. Trust.
It didn't say I wasn't reading because he was.
No. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you, man. I'm talking in general. I'm saying in general. I'm talking about comments I hear in my space. People make these comments about her and like, oh, I hope she can do this. I hope she knows what she's doing. And like, she knows what she's talking about. She's a deep comic head. The references that she puts, she will go into history. She'll go into the crates. She'll go into the long boxes, and she'll find references and she puts them in her books.
She mentioned Queen Divine Justice in number 2, and I hadn't thought about that character.
Exactly.
Paul called me out on that.
On her last run in Photon, she's talking about stuff.
Photon is so good.
Oh my god, the references she was dropping.
Now I read Photon. I read me and Chill did a little thing on Photon. I liked the way it was written, and yes, I did indeed love the callbacks to Amazing Spider-Man Annual 16 and the grip of those 80s Avengers books where she had a chairman run and all of that. Now that was well written, but I would have liked more action.
The book that run did have some criticisms. Actions one, it needed 2 more issues. Is another. It ended too quickly.
Photon was cool. It was okay. But all that being said, it's clear that she knows what she's talking about because she's written here, there, and everywhere. Unlike, say, for example, Ta-Nehisi Coates. A lot of people liked that run. I did not. He's a brilliant individual. He is a great scholarly writer. That doesn't necessarily translate well to comic books. And so with Dr. Ewing's writing, it is clear that she knows this genre and also the history involved in the Marvel universe. So that makes her as good a writer as anybody.
That statement right there, I wholeheartedly agree with.
The Groom Nikusa family, new money from the global stock exchange, they say. And then this saying here is very African and very not an English saying, like the way I crapped on the pot calling the kettle black, right? They said here, "Poof, that money is from the stock market as sure as mountains are flat." Hey, that's probably something that's being said in places that are not here, right?
Yeah.
Places with mountains where they talk about the geology of everything. And I like that saying. And I think that's a more fitting kind of thing to say in a Black Panther book.
Yeah, I agree.
It's much better. And then afterwards, Ise gets to meet with these Nikusa's men, and they're looking just to get somebody to do the catering over at the wedding. This is what happens, though. Ise gets booked. He's going to be the dishwasher over at the party. And
Black is T'Challa undercover, for those who
T'Challa
exactly.
undercover.
Hold that panel up again, Chill. Look at their outfits. I love the fact that we're not seeing westernized outfits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of an Afro-futuristic type of outfits that you see the people wear. Little details like that. Also, when you look at signs in the city, they have things written in Wakandan, not English. Which in the last run, I know
that's like the
not
first
talk about
page.
The last run,
Yep.
everything was written in English, which irritated the hell out of me.
So when we read these comic books and we see characters interacting with each other, do you believe that they're speaking English to each other, or we think it's just translated for us?
I think it's translated. In my mind, it's translated.
I have a thought on that. I don't know if any of you watch a show called Warrior.
Come on, bro.
I gotta ask, man. I gotta ask.
Come on, man.
I gotta ask. You know, everybody mad at me because I didn't read Ironheart, looking at me crazy. On that show, it takes place in like 19th century San Francisco, like right around turn of the century, and there are Chinese immigrants in this show. It's based on the writings of Bruce Lee, by the way.
Right.
Speaking of Bruce Lee,
on this show, when Chinese people are talking to Chinese people, it's in perfect English, but they're talking in Chinese.
Right.
But then when you see the Chinese people talking to somebody English or Irish or American, they have that broken English.
Right. Very well done. Very well done.
And that's kind of what I equate this to. Okay, it's written in English, but they're probably speaking.
But here's the thing, though.
I agree with you 100%.
Typically in comic books, whenever there is a translation going on, the English dialogue that we read is bracketed by these little triangles, these sideways triangles, and that's never done. So, yes, you're probably right that they are speaking in Wakandan, and it never occurred to me until this conversation that might actually be going on, because I'm thinking, okay, well, they're probably just speaking.
They are, but they're so much more advanced. So they could be speaking English, and that's just any type of thing. So you never know. They could be speaking French because it is Wakanda. Like they could be speaking anything. I mean, it's so many things because they're
trying to give them credit for being smart, but I just don't think they'd assimilate, or they would.
Because there is no assimilation within Wakanda.
I mean,
to
Mark's point, in comics generally, he's right. When they're translating stuff, they'll say, they'll put a little asterisk and say translated from whatever. But this is this entire book. This entire book's taking place in Wakanda. They're not going to, in every issue, say everything that you're about to read is translated from Hausa or whatever. So I think I agree with D-Real. I think this is a matter of it's just assumed that they're all speaking Wakandan. I love the fact that all the words on the building are in Wakandan typograph. In my mind, as I'm reading it, they're just speaking Wakandan. And so when we see certain little colloquialisms, that's their translation or their version of that term. Even the pot calling the kettle black, I'm sure there's some type of Wakandan equivalent to that concept.
Yeah, the Panther calling the kettle black.
The Panther calling the kettle, the pot calling the kettle Panther or something.
Whatever, man. So, speaking of the street, I did notice that I was looking for something we mentioned a while ago. I don't even remember whose stream it was. We were talking about Burning T'Chaka being the slums and where there are air conditioners coming out of the windows. I forget who I was talking to when I said that, but there was a panel where I checked it out and I saw no air conditioners. I saw central air conditioning in every one of these homes. So just because they're
It's still Wakanda, bro.
It's still Wakanda.
There is a line about Bruce Lee. Every dishwasher here thinks he's Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably other fighters in Wakanda. I'm sure that you guys, as UFC, has a Bruce Lee that you could have been citing instead, but that's okay. We're letting that one slide. I already got my Panther calling the kettle black complaint.
Bruce Lee is the most famous martial artist in
Lee,
entertainment history.
The late great Bruce Lee was when he was an actual literal dishwasher while he was training in martial arts to make money. He worked as a dishwasher before he got big in the martial arts community.
I've been educated. Then it makes perfect sense for why.
When he was going to school and moved to California, he was dishwasher.
Why are you trying to pretend like you knew that too?
He went to school in Washington.
It's literally in his biography movie.
All right, fine.
He went to school in Washington.
Brian, you're with me. You didn't know that.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know, and it was like, okay, whatever. But I just assumed. I still worry about the whole. Why is Bruce Lee? I know they have movies, they have knowledge about everything, but why would that be the name they pull out? So I agree with you. What you're saying, Chill.
That's what I thought.
Weird.
So it would have been better if he had said Shang-Chi.
I still watch Shaw Brothers.
Every dishwasher thinks he's Shang-Chi.
Yes,
you could have. I would have been okay with that because he's more aware of Avengers and that's something that's been happening at the time. I would have been
respect
okay with
that. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Every dishwasher think he Jackie Chan.
Yeah,
how's that different?
I mean, just as recognizable. You could have put that in there.
But let's see, in Marvel, you think someone was there.
You're right, Brian. In the Marvel universe, you'd be saying Shang-Chi.
Yeah, yes, you would say something that we are all aware of.
Or Iron Fist or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's not part of Jackie Chan's history.
When you was
little,
little,
that he was a dishwasher.
Yeah, when you was little, you was like, whoa. You are,
but I didn't grow up in Wakanda though. So yeah, me being in Chicago, yeah, I sure did.
Yeah.
So let's give a compliment to Chris Allen's work here in The Beauty.
Yes,
we don't get enough of that. Like when I say enough of that, I think we all know what I'm talking about, but I'll be more specific. That thing that's inside skin tones that's called melanin. A lot of times the beauty, I don't know, pictures of pretty women are lighter toned, and now we get this cute dress. And if we look at the background, you can even see her trophy case where there's a whole lot of, I don't see silver. I don't see a single silver medal in sight. She's just some sort of like, I guess, gymnast or accomplished.
We gotta give credit though to Jesus Abertoff. If I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, I apologize.
It's Jesus.
The person who's the colorist on this book.
Yeah.
And the colors of this book are very, very vibrant. And so I think that a lot of credit, along with Chris Allen and Matt Chater, needs to go to Jesus for his color work.
I think Ewing even gives props to that colorist in the at the end of the book, at the back of the book.
Yeah,
she does. Where in the letters section, I think she even gives props to the colorist.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you talk about the darkness of the melanin. They gave me very much Storm vibes. Because a lot of Storms are in her issues are very dark, very but beautiful, Nubian. So that's kind of what I found.
I had made a reference in the video that I did on this book that I think if they do ever one day, fingers crossed, do another Black Panther movie and want to incorporate this character, it should be played by Jade Cargill because she's got the abs for it.
Like Jade Cargill.
Think about it. Wakanda is a nation that has never been conquered up until recently or whatever the case may be. Not talking about the movies, but everybody that you see in these panels are dark complexion.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from the continent of Africa that has not been colonized, that has not been infiltrated, having their bloodline infiltrated, everybody would be dark complexion like this. So I can appreciate how there is consistency with that. As an example, you don't see anybody with a blonde perm, a male with a blonde perm. Just throwing that out there.
I thought we weren't talking about the last one.
As an aside, speaking of melanin and dark complexion, I'm gonna go off on a little brief tangent. If you have not seen the series on Netflix called My Dad the Bounty Hunter, I would highly encourage you to watch My Dad the Bounty Hunter. Season
Facts.
2 dropped about 2 weeks ago with absolutely no fanfare from Netflix. It's a story about a mother, father, and 2 kids where the dad is literally an intergalactic bounty hunter. Think Boba Fett with a family. And the mother, the wife on there, is drawn or depicted as a darker skinned black woman. And she is done beautifully. So speaking about skin tone, that made me think about that. So that's my little quick plug for My Dad the Bounty Hunter on Netflix.
As an aside to jump on that, the way that the mother is from a planet, slight spoiler, she's from another planet. Her planet is basically Wakanda. It's a planet of all black people. And the way that she acts, it's kind of like she's a Dora Milaje. You got to watch. If you're a fan of Black Panther, I highly, highly, highly recommend you watch My Dad's a Bounty Hunter. Yeah. Because that planet, especially in that second season where you see the planet.
You're giving spoilers. I haven't even.
Oh, you haven't watched the second season yet?
I haven't either.
I'm like 2 or 3 episodes in.
Okay. So
you're sitting up here giving
all you need to know is that the second season, you see more of where she's from, and that planet reminds you of Wakanda. Like hardcore. We need to do Chillmonger. You need to pull us all together, have us all watch that series, and do a review of My Dad's a Bounty Hunter, because the parallels between that and Wakanda are like obvious.
Okay, right after my Rebels rewatch, I'll go back and check out My Dad's Bounty Hunter.
My Dad's a Bounty Hunter, yes, on Netflix.
Yeah, the second season was
the second season just came out not too long ago.
Yeah,
and it's the whole season, right? Not weekly.
No, it's the whole season. It's all there. It's all there already.
I will binge the second season.
Yeah.
Okay. We go to Mohanda, a neighboring Wakandan nation.
Flashback.
Do we remember Mohanda at all? Like,
no.
I think it was. It's mentioned a few times in Ta-Nehisi Coates Run.
What was the name of that country that was ruled over by the dude? I think this was during the.
Are you talking about Naganda?
Yes, that's it.
Naganda.
Southern neighbor.
The southern neighbor, correct.
I knew that. Yeah, Naganda's
the one that they had beef about the Akami fields.
Yeah,
was the point of contention between Naganda and Wakanda was the Akama fields.
Yeah.
Too many. If I was writing this, I would have made sure that all the surrounding nations just join. Oh, look at that! What's that?
I got that same book.
Yeah. A lot of good info in there.
Yes, sir.
But just know it's info up to about Ta-Nehisi Coates Run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
the
could tell
Atlas
from the art
too.
style.
The Wakandan Atlas is another good resource.
So there's a family portrait of 4, mom, dad, and it looks like Natima, and she got an older sister, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened. They're arguing downstairs about, this is my daughter. Let me get the exact quote. Our child from my very womb, no matter what. I don't care. It's a disgrace on our family. All the hopes and dreams we invested. What am I supposed to tell my father, my brothers? What did she do?
Basically, looks like she walked away from being a gymnast. That's what I'm taking from this. When you look at the panel on the very next page, well, no, that page.
I thought that she left. She left.
It looks like she was a gymnast, and it looks like she
was
away from that.
Right. I thought that was a great way to sort of shed light on what her background is without, as I said, very little exposition, not using a lot of panels. They simply have in the background pictures of her as a gymnast winning these awards or what have you, and explains why she's so athletic and able to do all the things she does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All I got out of it was she stopped doing what her parents wanted her to do.
I was wondering if she might have gotten pregnant or something, and then she ran away. Because that when he talks about he disgraced the family, the other thing I thought about, was maybe she was supposed to be one of the Dora Milaje and she turned it down.
Oh, I never thought about that. I never thought about that.
The Dora Milaje come from various tribes, as originally historically.
True.
They had agreed to have a representative of each tribe send a daughter to the king's palace to be a Dora Milaje as a representative of that tribe and a possible future bride for the king. So it's considered a great honor. Maybe she was slated to become one of the Dora Milaje and she turned it down.
Thinking. Well, if she is pregnant, she's definitely got big baggy clothing, and maybe that's who got kidnapped. That she was trying to find, right? The offspring that she had. That's possible.
The motivation as to why she does what she does is we know where your kid is. If you want to find her,
the
do what she do.
Is family.
D-Real.
What'd you say?
The person that she's looking for is what I got out of that is that it's probably a family member.
Her kid.
Maybe her sister.
I thought it was her sister. That's why
I thought
it was her sister. She's going through the same things, the same pressures that she was being put on in her own family. Because I didn't even think about everything else, but I thought about they're putting so much pressure on her. She's just giving up and leaving. I can't deal with this anymore. I'm leaving,
She
no
didn't
matter
want to
what.
be Simone Biles.
I didn't, or you still didn't want the pressure,
Right?
and have all the family. I'm depending on you, all that stuff. So she's leaving. I'm out. But now she's using her skills. We understand where her skills are coming from, but that's why she's using the skills to do what she's doing now. Because she says at the beginning, she's like, focus, just keep on focusing, team, and don't worry about everything else.
Yeah.
Back to Burning T'Chaka in present day. Was that needed? Did we need to know that it was back to present day, or could we just been like, all right,
Yes.
we're back?
Yes.
Yeah?
I mean, it's a nice segue.
Yeah, people are stupid, so yeah.
All right. In that big page, yeah, we do see a lot of Wakandan text in the background, and it's not English. That's cool. The thing, though, that I called out in my review, and I want everyone's opinion on this person broadcasting is like, hey, the whole world is here in Wakanda. Again, Wakandans don't care about you, whole world. We're not more valuable because you guys are here validating us. F that. So that's not a Wakandan. That person who spoke and said those words on that page was a foreigner broadcasting live from this foreign country that's called Wakanda, where everyone's here, so it matters. That's what that was. Well, so, Mark, was that woman a Wakandan?
I took it as such. I didn't look at it or analyze it the way that you did. I just looked at this as their extra or TMZ broadcasting about this big event in this local city, or maybe even a local news broadcaster. One of the questions that I had, though, is they mentioned the Opera House was the Francois Alio Memorial Opera House, and I was wondering, was that a call out to anything or anyone specifically? Matter of fact, I just Googled that name and didn't come up with anything. But they specifically said this name, so I'm just wondering where it came from. But no, I didn't take this as her being anything other than straight Wakanda.
D-Real?
Which part? The name or the journalist?
Is she a Wakandan or is she a foreigner?
I believe that she could be Wakandan or someone from a neighboring country.
Well, that's both answers. You can't answer both.
Okay. She's Wakandan. Yeah.
Right. Because
Paul, don't disappoint me.
I think she's probably Wakandan, and I think she's possibly speaking hyperbolically.
I mean,
the whole world is here,
right? Some of us can be wrong. That's totally acceptable.
No, I meant like think about it. Well, you mentioned for example, or somebody mentioned like this could be like their version of TMZ. You know, when you have these channels or shows where they talk about entertainment, you know, they speak in hyperbole of this is the greatest wedding of all time. This is the greatest concert of all time. They speak in those terms. The whole world is watching, and the whole world is like, 30,000 people. I just interpret it as that. Although I agree with you, Chillmonger, that the fact that I have to think about it shows it probably shouldn't have been done, because this is Wakanda. I have the view of Wakanda as we are who we are. Technically, we're the pinnacle of the world.
Exactly.
And we don't care about what the rest of the world thinks.
But that's why I want
to go. We've been distanced from the world for like thousands of years, and we just recently opened ourselves up. They're not going to be like, oh, well, now we've opened ourselves up and, we're exposed to the Western influences and we're going to jump on board and care what the rest of the world's. I just don't see that. I agree with you, Chillmonger, in that respect, that it seems out of place.
Okay. Good answer, Brian.
Good answer. So, but I think to them, the world is just Wakanda, because it's kind of going back to the panels before where they're talking about when T'Challa was asking them, well, what about when T'Challa got married? It's in their own little region. That's the whole world.
Yeah,
this is the biggest wedding in the world. The Wakanda is the world. The world is just outside. They don't care about anything outside. This is what the world is, and she's probably not broadcasting anything outside. This is all just for and within Wakanda.
Yeah.
Once again, T'Challa's wedding was not even broadcast in T'Chaka. So like that's for them to say it. I feel like it's only dealing with what's going on in Wakanda.
Here are the specific words, though. Well wishes from across Wakanda and around the globe are arriving to celebrate the happy couple. I don't interpret that as glad that the world is here, that Europeans or colonizers are in their borders. It's just stating a fact that there are people more than this local community who are here. I didn't take this more than
does Wakanda really need the validation of the rest of the world
I
for
don't
people to
see that
show
as-
up?
Oh my God! No, I
didn't realize that too.
She's not smiling as she says that. She's like reporting it. Yeah, she's not going like, "Yo, the well wishes from all over." That she's just giving a little like, look at her face.
She's stating fact. She's stating
These
fact.
people are here.
They're
Whatever.
around Wakanda and around the globe. That's just a fact. So I don't look at this as
That's a
being
good point.
seeking validation.
I needed to do what Brian did and reread and catch
And
that.
that's why she's Wakandan, chill.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
On my own video.
Yeah.
we could have went on. I was like, I thought I gave them something. Yeah, fine, guys. I was wrong. And I was prepared to play this on you guys.
You are wrong. All of you are wrong.
That's your go-to, ain't it? Ain't that your go-to?
Let me say this real quick. That scene right there is one of the most powerful, impactful scenes as far as acting is concerned by Chadwick Boseman in Black Panther 1. That's the scene that I always have in my mind when people talk about fan casting a new actor for the role of T'Challa. And it's like, can they have or have they displayed that level of emotion in their previous work? And so if I've not seen that in an actor, something of that magnitude, I'm like, nah, you can't be my T'Challa. So
Damson Idris has done that.
Yes, he has.
Mark,
Bodies.
So Mark, you're saying you're like this right here.
I'm sure you did your best.
Exactly. I'm sure you did your best, but your best wasn't good enough.
Okay, more beautiful artwork and more scenery, but really nothing substantial on this kind of page here. Would you guys all just agree with that? I just think this is just here for the artwork. We're just watching all the people file in, whatever.
It is colorful. It is very colorful.
Yep.
It's understanding who everyone is there, how important it is, see how busy it is. Nothing happens, so.
Right.
Nothing happens, and we kind of have an understanding that it's a busy place. So I would have pulled that page just to get a little bit more Deathlock, because when that splashes on us here, the Deathlock appearance is like, oh, okay, business about to pick up. But you know, when you're reading a comic and the left side is a little bit more heavier than the right side, you're like,
I was like, wait a minute. There's only 2 pages left. What's going on?
That's real talk. When the left side is bigger than the right side, and you get to a really exciting part, you start to have some anxiety.
Oh man,
this is getting ready to be continued.
You're ready for the
final. What do you think about Deathlock's new look?
Good.
I like that new look on Deathlock.
So I don't remember his old look.
He reminds me of Night Thrasher.
His old look had like the red and yellow outfit. And I'm like, if you're an assassin, you're like a cyborg hunter killer assassin.
Why would you?
Do you really want the hunter killer assassin to be dressed in bright red?
Right. But this black and red reminds me of Night Thrasher. Do we know who this Deathlock is yet?
No, we don't know yet.
No, it didn't say in the page yet.
We don't know if this is Michael Collins or Henry Hayes or some other new character.
Yeah.
Well, as we found out in the book, in the pages of Avengers, there's a whole bunch of Deathlocks.
Yeah.
Right. And that's something I was just thinking about, D-Real, is that, you know, they murked a whole cadre of Deathlocks.
Mm-hmm.
I like that Avengers run. I like that. What was that? Avengers Forever? Is that what that was?
Yeah, it was it was the main one, and then it bled off into Avengers Forever. It's kind of a crossover.
Yeah, so
chill.
And that is that, because the next page that we see after he hops on the scene is it's just Natima saying, "Hey, come over here, T'Challa," and T'Challa shows up in the Black Panther garb that is, the imposter Black Panther. He doesn't want everyone to know he's the real Black. The glare is crazy. He says, "I'm here," and this appears to be Deathlock. And it looks like we're gonna get some fighting. Somebody's already dead on the floor. Everyone else is running all around. That's the scene. That's the end of the book. And I didn't read the Ewing part, so I will now, just to hear her give credit to Jesus Abertav.
Here's the thing about this title, this run. shout out to Dr. Ewing, because I'm excited to read issue number 4.
Yeah.
I want to know what's getting ready to happen.
Right.
I didn't pretty much have that during the last 2 runs. The issue would be over. I'm like, okay, the issue's over. I'm it's on my pull list. I'll get the next one. After this splash page, I'm like, oh my goodness, what's about to happen? I want to see what's going to happen. I can't wait to read the next issue. I'm not fuming, cussing out the writer as I've done recently.
Like, what the hell's Namor doing here? Right now, I'm doing it. I'm sorry, I'm doing it now.
Right.
But just say that it's actually respect for the character. That's what you're getting. In every issue that's come out, I feel like the writer, the illustrator, they understand the character, they respect the character, they respect where it's coming from. They're not just throwing crap at it and just saying, "Oh, I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to westernize it. I'm going to give you actually something that should be coming out of Wakanda."
If it's happening by accident. No, it is happening. It is happening, Brian. The westernizing of him not being the king right now and honoring that decision that was prior, they're maintaining that status quo. Well, how do you feel about
she
the king
said
stuff?
that? But she said that she was going. I know I can immediately change what they did in the first one, but instead I'm going to go through the run. I'm going to make it right during panels, so it makes sense, because I don't want to just say F everything that happened last time. I'm going to give you a entire storyline to get him back to where he belongs.
Would you complain if she said F everything that happened last time? Would you complain?
Oh, hell no. I would have been very happy. I was just retcon everything. I was very happy with it.
I would have liked for her response to have been, "What last run?"
I have a question. I want her to get T'Challa and Aurora back together.
That ain't gonna happen.
There is a Twitter. There is a Twitter individual who had a long thread talking about how Aurora was treated better in the Black Panther run than in the X-Men run for years and years and years. And
it's Chillmonger in editing. That tweet thread we were just speaking on, the video's already there. I cropped it. It's already posted, and you can find it on my channel that I posted on Sunday, actually. I posted it right after we recorded this. But T'Challa Time is the name of this video, and you want T'Challa Time, we're going to give you more T'Challa Time. Thanks to Paul for popping in. I am going to throw it back to me. Let's close out this back to the T'Challa thing with just a prediction, 30-second prediction of what's coming next, okay? So the final page does say showdown down there. It's what's going to come in episode 4, and issue 4 is going to be a showdown. I'm expecting a fight sequence that's going to be long, because we haven't had long fighting this entire time. Remember the Hattusaraze? Not the Hattusaraze, the ones wearing the Hattusaraze, because they couldn't have been.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah.
We remember seeing them, and we'll get longer fighting. That's just my prediction. Mark?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that he'll win.
Spoiler Kings?
He won't get knocked on his butt by a man on a buffalo.
Yeah.
I should think it'll be one of those things that you see a lot of fighting, but it's going to be him countering and just trying to fill out who this person is and what he's going to do. Like, I feel like he's going to still dominate the fight, but it's still going to be a longer fight because he's going to respect what's going on. But it's going to be a longer fight still.
D-Real?
The energy that T'Challa gave off at the end of the book, to me, is like, I'm not really sweating a Deathlock, because for
I'm about to take care
T'Challa,
of you.
I got extensive files on Deathlocks, and I know how to deal with Deathlocks. My only thing, I hope the fight lasts longer than a couple pages.
Yeah.
Oh, it will. It should. And then there'll be like the sub fight while the fight's happening. There's also Natima Besa, who's in her disguise, trying to figure out what's happening between the wedding, between the two families and stuff. We'll get answers there also. It's not going to be nothing.
She'll probably sneak off and do some spy espionage type stuff.
My name's Chillmonger. You can find me at Chillmonger. Your name is?
Mark, ATLBlerd on Twitter.
Spoiler Kings is?
Brian the Grizzly. I'm at part 1/3 Spoiler Kings. Come check us out on Mondays and Thursdays.
Your man D-Real.
And it's your man D-Real coming at you with another one of them other ones. Be Real with D-Real. A lot of Black Panther based stuff. Check it out.
And thank you to Paul from the YouTube channel Black Comic Lords. But if you have any sense, you're probably thinking, Chillmonger, where's Theo? Theo B. Well, but if I told you he did a review with Back of the Bus, and you can find that on their channel.
Imagine if she ties
Baba Nikisu into everything that's been going wrong with Wakanda, going all the way back to Reginald Hudson.
Hey. But you telling me she gonna chef the mess into a masterpiece? Like no, don't tell me that Baba Nugisu was the money behind Akili. Don't tell me that Baba Nugisu had conversations with Falasade, and maybe that's why she was so hard on the whole democracy anti-king thing. Don't tell me he started a civil war in Wakanda to try to take control, and it just didn't work out the way that he thought it was.
Keep going back.
Hey, man.
Because it was a rebel alliance helping Doom do his stuff. How they get in like that?